Our scripture this morning is from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verses 38 through 42. Now, as they went on their way, he entered a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him. She had a sister named Mary, who sat at Jesus' feet and listened to what he was saying. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks, so she came to him and asked, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her then to help me." But the Lord answered her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things, but few things are needed. Indeed, only one. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her." This is the word of our Lord.
Thank you, Audra. Well, thanks for letting us get away last week. Thank you to Janet for preaching for us. I heard something about last week that choir practice ended at 11:30 last Sunday. Well, I'm back, so enjoy that while it lasted. Thank you for letting us do that. It's a pleasure to be back with us. And I love this story, and I think I'm going to say from the outset that Martha has always gotten a bad take from this passage, and I hope to offer something else. So I was thinking while we were gone, I was thinking this week, I used to think that most people wanted the most good for most other people. You know what I mean? Like I used to think that most of the people wanted good things for other people. That we disagreed about how to make that happen, that we might disagree about who's responsible for providing and protecting those things, but that we started from the same basic motivation with the same basic outcome in mind. I thought most people wanted safety and security and comfort and happiness for most other people. Of course, that's not true. That's never been true. There's never been a time in human history where that has been true. Most people want good things for themselves and the people in their close circles and don't really think about anyone else. Most people. They aren't very concerned with what happens around them. Some people, though, seem to want good things for themselves even if it means bad things for other people. Some people, a smaller number, I hope, think that good things for them necessarily means good things taken away from other people. Everyone has their own motivation, their own expectation, their own priority, their own goals. We get 4 sentences with Martha and Mary and Jesus this morning. And Martha and Mary have very different outcomes in mind, expectations of what's happening, goals and motivations and priorities. This is a story about priorities and about what we focus on. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that Martha is the firstborn daughter. Don't ask me how I know that. But Martha is 100% firstborn energy. It's not based on anything happening in my house or anything like that. Martha gets busy. She's got too much to do. Jesus comes. In the Gospel of John, Mary and Martha and Lazarus are a family, and they have an ongoing communication and relationship with Jesus. This is all we get in the Gospel of Luke. Jesus comes to town, a certain village, and it says in the chapter previous that when you come to a town and they welcome you, stay with them a while and eat and break bread. And so he comes into Martha's house, and Martha gets busy. She's got so much to do. She's got the tasks of the day. She's not just hosting a family. She's not just hosting the disciples. There's everything else. The world doesn't stop when we have company, right? There's still sheep to shear and robes to clean. The floor is dirt, so you have to sweep it all day long. There's still bread to make. Everything is happening. It's not that she wants to be doing all instead of listening to Jesus, but someone has to do all this stuff. And then they get a guest, and snacks have to be offered, you got to put coffee on. It's got to get done. Somebody's got to do it, and it's Martha who does it. Firstborn energy. Mary is 100% secondborn energy. Again, trust me. There's something new There's something new in the house. There's something exciting and unexpected happening in the world. Of course, that's the focus. Something that has not happened before, and we don't know, maybe never happen again. I'm going to sit here and experience it. I'm going to be here in this moment with this new thing, even if it's not what I'm supposed to be doing, even if I don't get to what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm also going to go out on a limb here with absolutely no evidence and say that this is not the first time Mary and Martha have had this conversation. But Martha thinks, okay, I've asked Mary for years to get off her butt and to help me in this house, but now Jesus is here. So Jesus is going to take care of it for me. Martha is busy with the shearing of the sheep and the making of the bread, and Mary is chasing butterflies or watching the ducks go to the pond or whatever. But Jesus is here, and so Martha first goes to an authority figure. In this story, Martha doesn't actually ask Mary to help her, right? Expects help from Mary, gets more and more upset when her unexpressed expectations are not met, and then goes to Jesus immediately. We have a word for that. It's tattletale. Martha was telling on Mary. Martha is firstborn eldest sister. Mary, second child. I don't think this is the first. And notice, Audra read, Jesus had to call Mary's name twice, right? I don't think that was rhetorical. I think he had to get her attention. I think she asked a question and immediately got distracted by something. And Jesus had, Martha, Martha. But Jesus doesn't say, Martha, you're doing your duty. Martha, you're busy. Jesus says, Martha, you're distracted. Jesus speaks into Martha's distraction from the moment, not the actual doing of the work, not the tasks, but her worry about them. He says he's not going to take anything away from Mary's choice, but he also doesn't take anything away from Martha's choice. Martha hasn't done anything incorrect or wrong. Martha's part isn't bad. Mary's is just better. I'm afraid most of the time the story is taught in dichotomy, in juxtaposition. You are either a Martha or a Mary. We go back a couple weeks when Asher taught us the damage done when we think in binary terms. It's not as simple as don't be a Martha, be a Mary. That Jesus doesn't speak to Martha's actions, but her focus. If you were doing the dishes and listening to me, he wouldn't have said anything. But you were distracted by your tasks. He doesn't say, Martha, come sit and listen. This is what we're here for. He just refuses to tell Mary to get up and get to work. Right? He doesn't say, Martha, come sit. The things that Martha is doing need to get done. They're not just social cues and rules. They are Mosaic laws of hospitality. And there's a very interesting gender role reading here in this story. When you think of classic images of Socrates, was Socrates the real dude or was Plato? I don't remember. One of them was I don't know. But sitting around not the Colosseum, the one with the pillars. This is why I type stuff up. But they're sitting around and they're teaching and their students are gathered around them. It's men in robes listening to them, right? This sitting at the feet of a teacher and absorbing and listening to the lesson is a male role in this community. I mean, one could say that the women didn't have enough time to do that because they had to do everything else while the men sat at the teacher's feet. But Mary has assumed the role of a student to a master, the role reserved for a man. And Martha is fulfilling the expectations of the lady of the house, the matriarch of the house. By claiming Mary's part as the better one, Jesus isn't dismissive of the work of Martha, but subversive of the traditional gender roles. It says Mary can sit here and learn from me if she wants. We can also read what we talked about this morning in Bible study. We can read an invitation to Martha. That this is Jesus saying, Martha, it's okay. This stuff is going to be here tomorrow. Come sit with me. You're okay. Guys, this story came from our kitchen yesterday. This is you have no idea how many times my wife has said to me, "I'm not worried. I'm working." Right? I'm not stressed out. I'm busy. Right? There's a difference. You know how much I can get done when I'm actively trying not to do something else that I should be doing? Right? I can clean the entire house when I'm trying not to finish paperwork that I don't want to do, which would take me 10 minutes in the first place. But we've all been Mary and we've all been Martha. In this chapter of Luke, Jesus has just told a story about getting to work and getting busy. Jesus has just taught the Good Samaritan story, which is a story that tells us that a follower of Jesus Christ is the one who gets up and actually does something for the man who is beaten on the side of the road. All of the righteous people pass by the man in need. The Samaritan, a foreigner, an enemy, helps him and stops. And the parable tells us that a true disciple of Jesus Christ is the one who gets up and acts and gets busy. This isn't a dismissal of the work of the service. It's a lesson on priorities. And in the same chapter of the Gospel of Luke, Jesus is saying that there's a time to get busy and there's a time to stop and to sit. And our job is to figure out which. As this quick little lesson on priorities, I'm not going to belabor the point too much. I doubt choir practice will end at 11:30 today, but I don't think you need me to. I will say that I think that we have made busyness itself a virtue, without attaching any sort of virtuous thing to the other side of it. What are you busy with? You can be busy at some pretty terrible things. Hard working has become a complementary trait, not attached to anything else. You can work hard on awful things. You can work hard on meaningless things. Being hardworking, being busy, being active is not in and of itself, does not have a moral claim, good or bad. A person can work hard on meaningless things or meaningful things. A company can be efficient and effective, doing terrible things to the people in the world. A government can easily decide to be efficient with ending homelessness or feeding hungry people. If you want to be efficient, you can do good things efficiently and effectively. You're making a choice. Being busy by itself is not good or bad. And we are coming out of a generation, we are moving away from a generation that has described its men, listen to me, men, has described its men, its fathers, as first and foremost hardworking. He was a hardworking guy. Well, okay, but did he play with his kids? Did he laugh with his? Would he laugh when did he make them laugh? Did he cry when they cried? Was he there? Did he take an interest in their interests, or do we use that word? He had a strong work ethic, because we don't want to say our dad was gone all the time and we never saw him. Being busy is not a virtue. You can be hardworking and busy, and you can miss every ball game and every concert, and you can spend late nights in the office, and you can have a heart attack at 62. But God, you are a hardworking man. That is not a virtuous in and of itself without anything attached to the other end. Jesus is speaking not to Martha's actions, but her distraction. What is your busyness distracting you from? What are you busy with? What are you working for? What are you working toward? I know a lot of busy churches. I know a lot of busy Christians who are so busy that they might miss Jesus Christ sitting right in front of them, trying to teach them a lesson. There is much work on the glorification of busyness. Some of that work comes from a Canadian author named Jeff Brown. And he writes this: "The glorification of busy will destroy us. Without space for healing, without time for reflection, without an opportunity to surrender, we risk a complete disconnect from the authentic self. We burn out on the fuels of willfulness and eventually cannot find our way back to the center. And when we lose contact with our center, we are ripe for the picking by the unconscious media and other market forces. Consumerism preys on the uncentered. The further we are from our intuitive knowing, the more easily manipulated we are. The more likely we are to make decisions and affix to goals that don't serve our healing or our transformation. To combat this, we have to form the conscious intention to prioritize our inner lives. To notice our breath, to notice our bodies, to notice our feelings, to step back from the fires of overwhelm and remember ourselves. It may feel counterintuitive in a culture that is speed addicted, but the slower we move, the faster we return home. It's author Jeff Brown. In other words, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. That's Ferris Bueller. Do you know what a Rube Goldberg machine is? It's those really involved setups that go through steps and a whole journey of a process. And what makes them real Rube Goldberg machines is that at the end, they do something completely inconsequential, right? The bowling ball rolls down the ramp and opens the spout on the water tank, and the water tank fills up the cup, and the cup comes up on the pulley, which makes the other side of the pulley go down, and all it. But all it does is like set the toaster off at the end. Some of us spend our entire lives as human Rube Goldberg, just doing all of this journey, all of this process, all of this complicated, intricate, and admittedly fascinating and really cool looking stuff. And at the end, all we've done is popped the toaster up to show for it. Obviously, of course, life has obligations. Life has requirements. There's stuff that we have to do, important stuff. But I think maybe a contemplative disciple of Jesus Christ understands that the requirements of life, the obligations of life, are tools themselves to create meaning and purpose. They are not in and of themselves meaning and purpose. They are tools that we use to build meaning and purpose. Martha, not in the actual completion of her tasks, but in her stress and worry and distraction over them, misses the urgency of this moment. Jesus Christ is in her house, teaching. Martha is focused on custom and tradition. Martha is focused on rules and roles of culture. Martha is correct. Martha is right. Mary is better. There is work to do, and it is important, and it is vital, but sometimes we just need to sit down and shut up and listen to Jesus. Maybe if we did that, if we spend more of our time if we spent most of our time as Christians and as church just learning from Jesus, then maybe we could live in a world where most people wanted good things for most other people. Amen.